we have capabilities that are currently not being deployed on the battlefield in Ukraine that are fearsome, that are powerful, and that can quite literally do serious damage.
A Ukrainian Su-27 fighter jet carried out a precision airstrike on Russian positions in occupied Bakhmut, targeting command posts and troop concentrations. The strike is part of a wider Ukrainian Airforce campaign that has recently hit Russian ammunition depots, fuel terminals, and logistics centers deep in occupied territory. In the Donetsk sector, heavy clashes continue as Russian forces push near Pokrovsk and the approaches to Chasiv Yar. But Ukrainian defenders are maintaining their positions and inflicting significant losses on advancing units. Ukrainian drone and artillery strikes have further disrupted Russian supply routes and slowed reinforcements. The situation around Bakhmut remains highly volatile, with both sides intensifying air and ground operations in an effort to control key heights and logistics corridors across the front. The Ukrainian General Staff confirmed Ukrainian forces struck one of Russia's largest gas processing plants and a key oil dispatch station overnight. The targets were the Korobkovsky gas processing plant and the Yefimovka dispatch station in Volgograd region. Both sites, crucial for gas and oil transit in southern Russia, suffered explosions and fires. Robert Magyar posted a video of Russian FPVs waiting in ambush positions on roads. He says that they are routinely found 10 to 15 kilometers past the front line, but that some can be waiting 20 to 40 kilometers past the front line. FPV drones are increasingly being used as ambush tools on both sides. The basic idea: a drone is placed concealed or left dormant near likely travel routes, roads, intersections, forest trails, with its camera and sensors monitoring. When a target, vehicle, patrol, or supply convoy approaches, the drone is activated, takes off suddenly, and strikes from above or from the side to maximize surprise. Ukraine uses this lurk and strike method to hit Russian supply trucks, light vehicles, ATVs, even high-value targets. For example, teams have positioned FPV drones in snowbanks or vegetation beside known Russian routes. When a Russian vehicle passes, the drone springs into action, often coordinating multiple small FPVs to increase chance of success. Russia also employs FPV ambushes. One reported tactic involves dropping spikes onto roads to disable vehicle tires. When the vehicle slows or stops, FPV drones strike. Another tactic is placing explosive drones or mines laid by FPVs on roadsides, or even leaving FPV drones abandoned among vegetation, so that when troops approach, they detonate or fly up for an attack. U.S. Ambassador to NATO. Matthew Whitaker said the U.S. has powerful capabilities not yet deployed in Ukraine that could inflict serious damage anywhere, anytime. Speaking in Riga, he noted some of these systems may be transferred to Ukraine, potentially shifting the battlefield. However, he added that Putin has not yet shown any willingness to negotiate.
The United States, as the Admiral mentioned, we have capabilities that are currently not being deployed on the battlefield in Ukraine that are fearsome, that are powerful, and that can quite literally do serious damage at a place and time of our choosing. And that some of those are going to continue to be potentially moved to Ukraine for their use, and that could change the calculation. But obviously we haven't reached the point where Vladimir Putin has decided that the time is appropriate to negotiate. And I don't know. The problem that Vladimir Putin finds himself in is that he cannot demonstrate weakness.
Polish Foreign Minister Radosław Sikorski warns Putin is escalating, not negotiating. Russian drone and jet incursions into NATO airspace, massive defense spending, and troop buildups prove the Kremlin isn't seeking peace. Sikorski calls for force first, then talks, like Reagan with the USSR. The age of empires is over, he says. On the territories of Donetsk region occupied by Russia, 48 Ukrainian children have been placed under forced psychiatric treatment as punishment for extremism. Maria Krasnenko, the author of the report, How Russia Erases Ukrainian Identity under the Guise of Combating Extremism, and an expert at the CCE Almenda, reported. In all Russian strategic documents, Ukraine is identified as the main source of all extremist threats. Therefore, in the occupied territories, Russians carry out measures to combat extremism. They persecute Ukrainians under the guise of maintaining state and public order. In the occupied territories, Russians use all possible means of systemic persecution, with a particular focus on children and youth. Education and state youth policy are their main tools in the fight against extremism. This also applies to the occupied territories. The enemy has developed clear markers to track all those who disagree. According to the so-called DPR, 161 minors have been held criminally responsible, 48 of whom were placed under forced psychiatric treatment, Maria Krasnenko said. Administrative measures, such as fines, are also being applied to children. First Lady Melania Trump about the kidnapped children.
My representative has been working directly with President Putin's team to ensure the safe reunification of children with their families between Russia and Ukraine. In fact, 8 children have been rejoined with their families during the past 24 hours. Each child has lived in turmoil because of the war in Ukraine. 3 were separated from their parents and displaced to the Russian Federation because of frontline fighting. The other 5 were separated from family members across borders because of the conflict, including one young girl who has now been reunited from Ukraine to Russia.
F-16 fighter jets provided to Ukraine as part of military aid carry out about 80% of all combat sorties flown by the Ukrainian Airforce. The Air and Space Forces magazine reported on this. These combat aircraft are used in particular to intercept Russian cruise missiles and Shahed kamikaze drones. According to the publication, earlier this month a Ukrainian F-16 pilot with the call sign AB, who previously flew MiG-29s, visited the Mitchell Institute for Aerospace Studies in the United States. There, he spoke about the crucial role these fighter jets play in defending Ukraine's airspace. According to him, Ukrainian pilots have already conducted hundreds of successful air engagements, repelling attacks by Russian missiles and drones. A small fleet of Ukrainian F-16s, operated by a relatively limited number of F-16 pilots, is currently carrying out approximately 80% of all combat sorties flown by the Ukrainian Air Force, the publication writes. The article notes that although the Ukrainian Air Force received not the most advanced modifications of F-16, Ukrainian pilots are showing strong performance in engaging enemy aerial targets as well as in conducting strikes on ground targets. In addition to air-to-air missiles, Ukrainian pilots also use the aircraft's cannon to intercept drones. In September, a video was released online showing a Ukrainian F-16 successfully destroying a Russian Shahed kamikaze drone using a 20mm 6-barrel Vulcan cannon.
Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe. Also, if you want to support Warthog Defense, please become our member and get early access to new videos, exclusive members-only videos, and become administrator in comment section. The membership link is in the description.
Rescues every day. We had a guy last week at 6 rescues in 6 days. You know, he's doing the job every day.